are those who pray for a job, and when they get the job, they start to complain next 2 mornings. Those are Israelites. Israelites are those who pray for finance, but the more they get is the more they want. Nothing is satisfying. Nothing is comforting. Do we have Israelites? Do we have Israelites in our midst? But church, listen to this. They murmured and they complained. But it wasn't the first time they did it. It wasn't the first time. Regardless of how God tried to please them, they found fault. It wasn't the first time. More than once they did it. Let me tell you something. One time Moses and God were so disappointed in their behavior that both of them called them a stiff-necked people. Now, to be called a stiff-necked is not a compliment. It means stubborn. It means rebellious. It means disgruntled. It means discontented. It means murmuring. God and Moses said, you are a stiff-necked people. Nothing pleases you. Church, are you an ancient Israelite? They murmured and complained when they were in bondage. Follow me now. We're bringing this up home. When they were in bondage, grinding, making bricks, even without straw. Oh God, help me. God, we can't take it anymore. Deliver me. God, how long must we grind out of this? They murmured when they were in bondage. God stepped in, sent a package of plagues, set them free, and they rejoiced on their way to the promised land, going through the Red Sea. When they got there, they realized they were not trapped. Pharaoh's army behind them, the Red Sea in front of them, mountains at the side of them, and they murmured again. Oh God, you brought us out here to die. Oh church, follow me carefully. When they crossed the Red Sea and they had no water, the water at Marah was bitter. Again, they murmured when the Amalekites attacked them. Oh, after God delivered the water, fresh, nice water, they went on the way rejoicing. The Amalekites attacked them. They murmured again. Oh my goodness. When the food ran out, they murmured again. When the way was difficult, they murmured again. When Moses went up on the mountaintop, they murmured how they want a God they can see, and they built a calf. Murmured again. When the 10 spies brought back the evil report, they murmured again. Murmuring had become a way of life. You see, church, when you practice doing something, listen to me, church, I want to get this home. When you practice doing something, it becomes a habit, and after it turns a habit, it becomes a part of your character, just a part of you. It's like praying. The more you pray, it becomes a part of you. You can't do without it. Are you listening to me? Oh, the more you sing, it becomes a part of you. You can't do without it. The more you come to church, oh, you feel uncomfortable if there is no church, because it becomes a part of you. Well, it's the same with gossiping. The more you gossip, it becomes a part of you. You turn a gossiper. The more you criticize, it becomes a part of you. The more you pull down and tear down and murmur, it becomes a part of you. They could not have helped it. It was in their very bones. Church, let me tell you something. This is why the Bible said things that are pure, clean. Think on these things. You know what think means? Always ponder on them. Because the more you ponder on something, the more you practice something, is the more it becomes a part of you. Hey, listen, it's like young and the nasty and bold and the ugly. The more you look at these things, it becomes a part of you. You suddenly get suspicious of your husband. Suddenly get suspicious of your wife. Because the very thing that you are practicing to see is becoming a part of you. Are you listening to me? God said to Moses and the angels, it is time I stop this nonsense. I can't pamper them and watch them be lost. It is time I stop this nonsense. And watch what God did. God decided that I will bring some serpents. In other words, I will bring judgment upon them. And God sent some fiery serpents to bite them. Lord, have mercy. Judgment. You know what God was doing? God was reminding them that I am God. And nobody tells me how to move, when to move, or where to move. I set my own agenda. I do what I want to do, and you are my child, and you must just follow. The child of God must not move by sight, but by faith. God had to remind them who is in charge. Don't let God remind you who is in charge. I beg you, don't ever let him have to remind you who is in charge. He had to remind Pharaoh by sending him a package of plagues. He had to remind Nebuchadnezzar by bringing him down from eating in a palace to grazing in a field. He had to remind him by stepping into his furnace. Don't mess with my children. I could deliver them when I want to deliver them. I am God. He had to remind Ahab by burning up the altar and putting the prophets to shame. He had to remind Jezebel by allowing her body to be eaten by dogs. He had to remind the Jews by healing the blind man. He said, I don't know who he is. I don't know where he came from. I don't know what he do. But this one thing I know. I was blind, but now I see. He had to remind Lucifer, I laid down my life and I can take it up again. He had to remind death himself on resurrection morning, I am the resurrection and the life. Don't let God have to remind you of who he is. Oh church, listen to this. The Israelites became so frustrated that they started to murmur and complain. Let me take a drink for that. They started to murmur and complain. It became a part of their character. The Bible tells us that God, after they attacked him, he said, well, enough is enough. And he sent the serpents to bite them. Could I take a few more minutes of your time? Well, let me take, listen carefully. They said that the fiery serpents were called fiery because of their cunning. Others said because their venom burnt as it entered the skin. Well, I don't know what really it was. But all I know is that their bite was fatal. Are you listening to me? And as long as you were bitten, you would die. Are you listening to me? So whether it's the color or the venom, it was a fearful and fatal group of serpents. Oh home with death facing them, eyeball to eyeball. I believe one day Moses was home doing his devotion because he needed to cool down from these stiff-necked people. They cursed him and they criticized him. And so Moses laid on his grass bed reading the scrolls when he heard a knock on the door.